Welcome back to Luxury Cruising. I'm your host, Krystal Sodaitis, and as promised last week, I have Kim here, and Kim is going to talk to us about what it's like to be on an inaugural cruise. Kim, tell the listeners anything you want them to know about you.
Well, my career in travel began as a travel writer. In 2015, I was contracted by Oasis Travel Network to do their PR and marketing and press releases. And this was for a very exciting reason. Their vice president, Kelly Bergen, was going to be christening a brand new river cruise ship on the Danube. That was the Emerald Dawn. It was on in 2015. And we joked I was part of her media entourage. And I was able to be there. And I did all the press releases, but watched her cracked the champagne on the bottle, the hull of the ship, and the ship went out for its inaugural sailing. Um, and that's a tradition everybody's familiar with, but probably a lot of people don't know about.
Why do they christen ships with champagne? Why not just like have somebody, throw some holy water on it?
Well, and it goes back to Babylonian and Viking times, and they would perform animal sacrifices, and that tends to be frowned upon these days. So now it's champagne to be luxury.
And to be celebratory.
Exactly. And so, but the reason ships traditionally always had godmothers is because women were believed to keep the oceans calm and safe. And so, if you think about the ancient ships that you see with the women carved into the hull of the ship, that was to calm the seas and prepare for safe voyage. And part of that mythology and that superstition, so to speak, has evolved to having godmothers christen a ship. Now, in more modern times, we have godparents, but it was traditionally always a woman needing to christen the ship to keep with the ship safe on its
Yeah, that's
sailing.
that's amazing. Wow.
Yeah,
So did you
go
go
ahead.
on that inaugural Emerald cruise? Did you get to
I
go?
did. And a river cruise is much different. It's a much smaller thing. So there was like 150 people on board. And I want to say probably 20 of us were part of the christening group. They were christening twin ships. They had 2 ships, the Emerald Star and the Emerald Dawn. So then there was a big party for all the people with the twin christenings of the ship. It was really nice, just it was exactly what you imagine. Stay around with champagne, all dressed up in the middle of the afternoon. The captain of the ship they had, just it's such an elegant ceremony. And it really said, okay, when a ship goes out, that's when I realized this is a really special thing.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
It's
amazing. That's amazing. So fast forward after that Emerald
mhm.
inauguration, because you've been on a couple recently that
Well, I've
have
been
been
on
really
2
good.
recently. Yeah, I own a travel agency now. And when I first opened my business and started to get into the nuts and bolts of it, they were right around the time they were launching the Norwegian Prima. And that was Katy Perry was the godmother, and she
Mm.
performed this concert from Reykjavik, Iceland.
Wow.
That's where the ship launched. And travel agents from around the world were invited to tune into the live streaming. And once again, we got to see the glamour and spectacle, but it was still from afar.
Yeah.
So in early 2024, you may have heard about Royal Caribbean launching this ship called Icon of the Seas.
Somewhere
And
it's bringing some bells.
yeah,
Yeah.
they might have mentioned it once or twice in the cruising world. It's the biggest ship ever to sail on the oceans. And the godfather for that one was Lionel Messi, the soccer star. And
Yeah.
because he's iconic.
Yeah.
And I was invited to attend this sailing because I am a member of ASTA, which is the American Society of Travel Advisors,
Mhm.
which is a regulatory professional group. But I did their training and certification as a verified travel advisor. So they invited people that had been achieved that level of training to
Mhm.
attend the inauguration. And wow, talk about coming in with confetti and, everything,
Yeah.
the step and repeat. I'm standing there
Yeah.
like a celebrity, like the red carpet. And
Wow.
so we get on
Wow.
that ship, and everywhere you walk, there's balloons and champagne and swag.
Yeah.
Oh,
I love
I,
some
I,
swag. I
I
love me
could be
some
a poster
swag.
child for Icon of the Seas, let me tell you.
Yeah.
But so that was super exciting. And that kind of whet my appetite. And then they said, oh, but wait, we're not just debuting one big ship. we've got just 6 months later, Utopia of the Seas, come back. So
Yeah.
I was able to attend again, and that was, Meghan Trainor was the
Yes.
godmother.
Yeah, I
And so
remember
we
that.
had
Yeah.
one of on the Royal Caribbean on those Icon class ships, they have what they call a Central Park balcony,
Mhm.
which faces the interior of the ship where they have more trees at sea than any
Yeah.
other ship. I mean, it's an entire promenade, and they replicate Central Park in New York.
Yeah.
And we sat on our Central Park balcony overlooking the trees and the restaurants. And oh, over there, there's Meghan Trainor giving a concert. It
Wow, that is so
was
cool. That is
it was
so
super
cool.
cool. And just again, the glamour, Icon of the Seas has cruise ship dog, a mascot dog that
Mhm.
lives on the ship.
Yeah.
And we got to meet that. And we got to see they debut these amazing Broadway shows. Uh, we got to see a Wizard of Oz production that is out of this world.
Yeah.
And just to be able to see that and experience it for the first time was really cool.
Yeah, yeah, and to be the first ones really on the ship, and I think they have some sailings before that where they bring in also travel advisors and influencers, but these are usually, like, the first kind of intro cruises or, like, 3 days or 4 days, but the inaugural is usually a full pro I don't know if for Utopia it was 3 days or 4
Well,
days.
they Topia only usually does 3 and 4-day cruises,
Yeah,
because that's where they've positioned themselves. But the thing is what they're doing is that's when they've gotten all the kinks out, and they're ready to just show you the full
yeah,
force of everything the ship has to offer, and that's the other thing is how many times do you go on a ship and you always wonder, "Oh, what's that ownership? What's that owner's suite look like?" Well,
yeah,
guess what? We get to see them all. In fact, they give us a challenge. I guess it's almost like a scavenger hunt. And they assign us all these things to go see the ship. So, as part of my industry, I can tell anyone, I've seen that room. I know what it looks like. Oh, yes, you want to be in that room with the grand piano. Or you're going on vacation with all your grandkids or, your cousins and everything. Yeah, you want the room with the Nintendo or the video thing or they have a slide that comes down
yeah,
from the kids' suite to the lower level. They have rooms that have, like, the whole back end of the ship taking over the balconies. Um, where
yeah.
I was seeing Meghan Trainor from the Central Park balcony, there's balconies that are right next to the stage, almost like in an opera house when you have those people up
Wow,
in the really fancy
yes,
seats.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when you go on an inaugural cruise, you are able to do they not have I would expect that all of the sort of, like, C-suite Royal Caribbean people would be on the ship in those rooms, so you wouldn't be able to go and see them.
Well, that's what they do. They keep at least one of those rooms open for people to tour and come in. And so, I had to resist the temptation. I didn't sit down and tickle the ivories on the grand piano, but imagine being at sea and having a grand piano in your room. And of course, they can take that to next level because those sorts of suites have butlers. It's very
Yeah,
private and exclusive. There's private dining areas that only people in the suites can go to.
yeah,
And so, they want us to be able to tell people, I've seen this. Yes, you want to do this.
yeah, yeah. Now, is that for anybody? Because anybody can book an inaugural cruise. So, would that be
Technically,
anybody could go and do that scavenger hunt, or is that really just for, like, the travel advisors?
that's really just for the travel advisors, media, and influencers. I guess I hadn't thought about could anybody do it. The rooms are open though. So
Yeah,
there's no reason you couldn't, as the rooms are open, walk and see them. They also open up the specialty dining for everybody on the inaugural cruises, whereas a lot of times that's just restricted to the people in the suites.
so really so you could eat there?
You could eat at the like, for example, Royal Caribbean has a mason jar restaurant.
Yeah.
Um,
Like Coastal
they also
Kitchen, which
have
is, like, my favorite restaurant on
which one?
any ship. Coastal Kitchen, the suite
Ye-
dining room.
yes,
So you could just go in there and eat even though you weren't in a suite.
right, right. There's certain times restaurants would be closed for
Yeah.
VIPs or whatever. But yeah, you could have specialty dining experiences as part of your sailing. Typically they will offer inaugural sailings to people that have loyalty programs. So if you've sailed with something a lot, you want to watch for that opportunity to go on those sailings. It really does elevate it to the next level.
Yeah. Wow. So what would I see if I went on an inaugural sailing? And I guess it's hard to say, like, compared to, let's say I go on the inaugural sailing and then a month later I decide to go on the same ship, same itinerary. What would I see differently on the inaugural sailing?
Well, there's going to be a lot more fanfare. You're going to have a lot more opportunities to mingle with the captain and the celebrities. People are walking around. One of the things it's really cool when I was on there was media from around the world, podcasters and influencers. And every time you're walking around the ship, you've got somebody with a microphone or camera or videotaping. I felt like I was on a movie set. It was very glamorous.
Yeah.
Um, and seeing everybody, it was really tempting not to photobomb and be like, hey, I'm here. But it was really interesting. And you could feel the bustle. You could feel the
Yeah.
excitement that it was palpable. And then, of course, as the ship was launching, they had people walking on stilts. They had balloon drops. This does not happen on
Yeah.
just your regular cruise. It was
Yeah.
truly a celebration. And then they have, of course, the private christening, and that's truly at the VIP level.
Mm.
Um, I'm sure there's a way that people can get onto there. I was not able to go to the actual christening, but we had, our industry cocktail parties and, we had a special program for all the ASTA members,
Yeah.
in the main showroom and stuff like that. So we had some perks. And I think that what they really want to do is obviously put their best foot forward or best sail forward or,
Yeah.
whatever.
It's forward.
Yeah.
That's so cool. So comparing Icon inaugural cruise to Utopia's inaugural cruise, was there any difference?
Yeah, because
Other
they've
than Macon
positioned.
Trainer, of course.
Yeah. Okay, so they've positioned themselves slightly differently, the 2 cruise ships. Icon, it truly is a floating city at sea, as is Utopia, but Utopia is geared for short weekend vacations. They are billing themselves as the best weekend ever.
Let's just pause for a second because what people may not know is what is the difference between an Icon of the Seas, which is an Icon class ship, which
Right.
also was the first of this class. The second
Yes.
of the class, Star of the Seas, which I'm actually going to be on, um,
Oh.
is coming in August. But this was a huge deal because it was the first of its kind. And it has not only the Broadway show with The Wizard of Oz, but it has a special enclosed aquadome where they have
Yes.
an aqua theater that isn't exposed to the elements. That was an upgrade from um previous ships from other Oasis class ships that also have an aqua theater, but
Right.
the shows would get canceled frequently because of weather and blah blah blah. It also has a 6 slide water park at sea on the top deck. It's really a completely different game changer ship. And when it launched, Royal Caribbean launched it as the world's best family vacation, period.
I absolutely I would say 100% agree with that. It is the type of thing that there is something for everyone.
And then compare that to Utopia, which Utopia was the 5th or 6th, can't keep track anymore, Oasis class ship. It was improved, but this was also a groundbreaking style of ship when the first one, Oasis of the Seas, was launched. It's what introduced Central Park and the different neighborhoods and the boardwalk. And I even forgot to mention the Surfside neighborhood in Icon, which is a neighborhood specifically for families with young children. So now Utopia launches the next in a well-established class of ship, but yet it has some significant improvements and upgrades. So just a little background on Icon of the Seas versus Utopia of the Seas.
So Utopia was really positioned and they're looking at it to complement an Orlando vacation. And that was their goal. So they are really making it this is something that fits in. You go to Orlando because they are permanently out of Port Canaveral. So you go to Orlando, 3 or 4 days on land. You come out to Port Canaveral to the Utopia. You have some options because there's a couple of cruise ships, but they really wanted to position themselves like we are all about fun too. And
Mhm.
so they have the candy neighborhood, the merry-go-round, they have miniature golf. They have everything that you would do on a family fun weekend. It
Yeah.
is super, super geared. I mean, Royal Caribbean and family and multi-generational trips just goes hand in hand.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It is being billed as the perfect weekend getaway.
Yes. Yeah. A lot of times, and I see this all the time with clients, you get a long weekend at school, off school,
Yeah.
and they want to be like, where can we go? Especially, I'm in Ohio and winters can get kind of, dreary.
Right. Yes.
And so they want to have this whole idea of a long weekend. Come down on Thursday, come home on Monday. You got a little taste of the
Yep.
Caribbean and you didn't even have to take a week off work. And if you can find a cheap flight, you're great.
Right. Exactly. So what was that? So did that factor at all into the general, experience or vibe of the inaugural cruise?
Um, at that point in time, the whole point was is that you can do so much there and you're going to have a full vacation in 3 or 4 days. You're going to have that. One of the things that was really cool on Utopia is that they have started this uh Utopia station. And it is like dining on a Wild West railroad car. If you can imagine, you can even go to the Wild West on a Utopia of the Seas sailing. It's a specialty dining experience. And as you're sitting there, it's built like an old train car through the Wild West. And they
Oh
have
yeah.
video
We're
screens.
Royal Railway. Yes.
Yes. Well, they have video screens and they serve very authentic, like old West type of food. They gave us little cornbread frying pans to come home and make our own cornbread. And then that was just and you have a, boarding time and it's this whole virtual reality experience that you get to have while you're on the cruise ship, which is extremely unexpected. Who
Yeah.
who thinks you're going to get a Wild West experience on a cruise ship?
Right. Exactly. Exactly. So, yeah, and that's available on all of the ships, not just on the inaugural.
Right, that is unique to that's new to Utopia. That was
Yeah.
one of the things that they added.
Yeah. Was there anything about the food? Like, I know when we went on Icon, because we didn't go on the inaugural cruise, we went on in the inaugural season. Um,
Yeah,
the the Windjammer buffet on embarkation day had like a cold seafood buffet, which I had
yeah.
never seen before. Which what people said was like, that's just because it's the inaugural season. So, was there anything else about like the food, or
Oh my
any of the other
gosh.
experiences that
Well, that was
you
one of the
thought were
things
elevated?
that was one of the things that happens on an inaugural cruise. All the specialty restaurants bring out samples of all their food and little teeny cocktails, and you just walk around. I mean, it's like, you go to Costco and you get all your samples, but you could go to all the specialty restaurants. We could go dine on sushi. We could go get a little bite of steak. All the restaurants through Central Park, everybody had samples out at all times, and you could just go taste everything so that was another piece of it. If you're booking for a client or if you're making a recommendation to somebody, you can say to them, I've had the food from here because, some of the food experiences on a cruise ship are elevated and it's an additional cost to the cruise to have the specialty dining. And we get to taste it all. We get to
Yeah.
sample it all. Yeah.
Yeah, that is really nice. And I can see how that would be really helpful for travel advisors to be able to say, like, I've had the sushi from Azumi and it really is good. And, you know,
Mhm.
try the cauliflower steak from 150 Central Park. It's
Yeah.
really, really good. So, um, yeah, I love
And
that.
then the other thing that's kinda cool, like, they also have things that are familiar, and, people can travel the world, but there's some people who just, say, "You know what? I just want a hamburger." And so, like, right on board on Utopia was a Johnny Rockets,
Yeah.
and that's a fun experience that people are familiar with, and sometimes having a little bit of what's familiar, not everybody is super as adventurous, and so sometimes that's a bit of comfort.
Right. Right. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah,
Yeah,
I love that.
you
Any
know?
other standouts from the inaugural cruises?
You know, I mean, even when we went to the private island, Coco Cay, they have improved beaches, they have added new, areas that we got to
Mhm.
tour the exclusive beaches, and that was really nice. And when I was on Icon, I didn't have the right shoes, but, they have that daredevil thing where you can hang. Oh, what is it?
Oh, yeah, I wasn't gonna do that. Yeah.
Oh, I was, but I
Yep.
didn't have the right shoes. Yes, and I wanted to do that. I didn't have the right shoes, but that was the other thing, which is normally that's part of an upgrade, but they offered us to try that sort of stuff.
Oh,
And
yeah. Yeah, 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 so you can tell your clients like, "Oh, I
all
did it.
those
It's so
ex
much fun. It's not scary."
all those experiences are part of the inauguration. They want you to see everything the ship offers because not just travel advisors, but guests, word of mouth is
Mhm.
you talk about it, people are like, "Oh, I want in on that."
And especially, you don't have to be an influencer to be recording and uploading onto whatever, Snapchat, TikTok,
Do you know
Instagram, whatever it is, and people see that.
Well, do you know that's an interesting aside just to make a note. I think the statistic's pretty close, but I'd have to verify. I want to say that 80% of people make their decision about traveling based on something they see on social media.
I had no idea. Wow.
Yes, you upload pictures from your own vacation. People trust that more than going to a canned review or a travel website. They look at what their friends are doing, what their friends are seeing. And so it's important to show people a really great time, when we're launching.
That's a really interesting fact. Well, I hope that people are looking at the content at luxury cruising and making some amazing decisions about luxury
Well,
cruising.
right now, you and I, this is conversational. This is not sales pitchy or anything like
Yeah.
that. This is a conversation between two friends and colleagues talking about things that we've seen, things we've experienced, and that carries a lot more authenticity.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. That's amazing. That's
Yeah.
amazing. So
So
tell me, Kim, just stepping away from the inaugural cruises,
yeah,
how do you define luxury?
and that's a good question because let's be honest, luxury is different for everybody.
Hmm.
When it comes to travel, though, for everybody, travel is a luxury. Whether you are getting away to Florida for 3 days or you're going to, okay, here in Ohio, we have Cedar Point, which is a roller coaster place. But when you are choosing to leave your house, pack your bags, and go somewhere, that is a luxury. And that's how I treat everybody's trip. This is something above and beyond your daily life that you have chosen to do. But
Yeah,
to
that is
take it
true.
to the next
Yeah.
level, luxury, while it still remains, all travel is luxury, there is something that takes it to the next level. And you're going to look at service. You are going to look at amenities. You are going to look at those little extra things. For me, luxury is when I walk into a hotel room or a cruise ship cabin and they have a bathrobe. I like a bathrobe. And I'm
Plushy,
like,
plushy
yeah,
robe. I'm all about it.
where's my bathrobe?
Yep.
you know, um, And luxury is often in the details. And I am a very detail oriented person. Is there somebody standing there helping me when I land on my plane? Is there, you know, whether it be the cruise ship sign, all Royal Caribbean people come here, or if it's got my own name on it or whatever, having people help make that trip away from home where you've packed your bags and gone somewhere as comfortable, if not more comfortable than what you already have.
Yeah. I love that.
I think it's
That's
about
fantastic.
comfort, it's about details. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Awesome. I awesome.
some kind of exciting trips coming up, and
Tell me,
hopefully
what have you got coming up?
I am going to be going on the Azamara cruise, and if you're not familiar with Azamara, it's a phenomenal cruise ship line.
Yeah.
Actually, that's what sparked our initial conversation,
Mhm.
and I will be back to tell you about sailing on Azamara
Yeah.
around France. I'm flying into London, and then flying out of Paris. Um,
Amazing.
it's a 10-day cruise all around the perimeter of France, starting at
Oof, that
Normandy and
sounds
ending,
beautiful.
yeah, starting at the Normandy beaches and ending in Bordeaux with Honfleur and other small ports in between.
Amazing. Yeah, we cannot wait. And when is that?
That is going to be September 6th through 16th.
Okay, so we will be waiting
Yeah,
enthusiastically to hear about that Azamara
yeah,
trip.
yes,
Well, awesome.
yes.
Well, Kim, if any of the listeners want to book, because that Azamara trip is not just a cruise, right? There's like a
That is
golf.
not just a cruise. It is a Perry Golf. Perry Golf is a partner of Osmar's, and they set up luxury golf excursions for what I feel like it's a perfect partnership for when one partner golfs and one doesn't. And I joke, I have a mixed marriage. My husband golfs and I don't. And so this is the perfect sort of thing. A lot of times you have that sort of situation where somebody wants to go on a golf trip, but they don't want the other person just sitting there going, da, 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 da. And
Yeah.
so Perry Golf has coordinated all these amazing golf trips. Like every other day of the cruise, you're going to go to some exclusive, exquisite course. And guess what? That's luxury because they handle your clubs from the time you get on the ship till the time you get off. They just take you off to the golf course, and all of a sudden your clubs like wave a wand
Yep.
and they appear.
They're just
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
And meanwhile, the non-golfer, that would be me, gets to go explore the cities, go on food tours, do bike rides, hikes, whatever, whatever strikes your fancy when you're ashore. Um, and so they've partnered, actually, Azamara has partnered with Perry Golf. And then the other point is that they've also partnered in Africa with Mikado Safaris. You can do a cruise before, after, a safari, which
That's
is quite a luxury.
yeah. Yeah. Well, we'll definitely put that one on the list of
Yeah,
experience,
yeah.
of possible experiences. Well, we look forward to hearing about that. If anyone wants to either book this golf cruise experience or any other travel with you, how would they be able to get in touch with you? What's the best way?
Okay, well, I have a website and it's, Love Our World Travel. Will you be able to put a link in the show
Yep.
notes?
I can put a link
I'll
in the show notes. Yep.
I'll do that, and my email is kim@loveourworldtravel.com. I also have a very active Facebook page under my own name because I feel like people wanna book with a person. They wanna talk to a person. So I do all my travel information under my own name, and it's Kim Urig, sort of like the coffee pot, the Keurig, URIG.
Yeah.
And if you find me, you can follow along with all my travel stories and different promotions and adventures. I
Well, awesome.
love what I do. I feel like I get to help people do something they've been wanting to do. I love it. I always treat everybody's trip as if it were my own. I put a lot of heart into it. I lead with love. That's why I have the name of my company.
Beautiful.
Um,
That's absolutely beautiful. Because you started out as a travel writer, you still do some writing, and we will put a link to the blog post about the inaugural cruises in the show notes as well.
Perfect. Perfect. Oh, thank you so much, Crystal. This
This
has
was
been
so awesome. Thank you so,
yeah,
so much.
you're welcome. I can't wait to come back.
Yeah, I can't wait either. And
But
thank
maybe if we can figure out the timing, maybe we can do it while I'm on the ship and I can
yeah,
s
that's what
yeah.
we're aiming for. That's what we're aiming for. So stay tuned,
Alri
listeners. And until
alright.
next time, I wish you safe and luxurious cruising.
Thank you so much.